We have MP for Gisborne, Dana Kirkpatrick. Good morning, Dana.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm very good. So what's the weather like up there? That question that all Kiwis ask each other first thing.
Well, I'm sure it's absolutely stunning today, but sadly I'm in Wellington.
Well, there you go. And it's quite stunning here too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Dana, we've been keeping a reasonably close eye, and I've certainly interviewed a wide range of people up on the east coast, from Napier and all of the places that were affected by the floods, and right up to Gisborne, and even Nuararapa, which there were certain parts on the coast were devastated as well. Admittedly, not as much as Gisborne or Napier, but there was some couple of pockets that were pretty ugly. So I just wanted to feel where are things at with the recovery? And I know you've got this big summit coming up. So can you tell us just a bit about where you're at with the recovery and where the fishhooks are and what you're expecting out of the summit?
Sure. Look, I think where are we right now? Well, we're clearly 12 months on from the cyclone, and there has been an enormous amount of work done in the region on silt removal, on woody debris removal, helping people with their homes and all of those kinds of issues. It remains to be said that there is still a lot of work to do, and I think this is a long run recovery that is going to be had. Was simply one of the most devastating events in our region, on top of a whole lot of mini events prior to it, which didn't help one bit. So, we've got massive amounts of roading infrastructure to fix. We've got challenges around water infrastructure, land use, housing deficits. The list goes on. It's a challenging environment to be in, and we are. But I guess if there's to be a silver lining, it's that the community is galvanised and has really come together to be able to, I guess, put some new solutions on the table and try and find a way forward out of this. And that's what the Tairāwhiti Summit is about, really. It's about, we can go on about roads and water infrastructure and land use and everything, which we know we have to fix that. Absolutely, 100% have to do it. But I think we also need to look at what next. Where do we go next? How do we rebuild in a way that provides new opportunities and takes on the challenge that a crisis like this presents?
So in terms of the planning for the future, because I worked for the Canterbury Earthquake Recovery Authority after Christchurch, so I sort of understand some of the ebbs and flows on this stuff of where you've got an event, and it's the survival stuff is the initial stuff, and then there's sort of the keep everybody safe stuff, and then there's the time to sit down and start thinking about what things are going to look like or could look like in the future. And that sounds about where you are right at the moment.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assumption. We're right at that point where we need to now look to what next. And I think that the list of speakers, the array of people that are speaking at the event, will provide some good context and some really good, thought-provoking ideas about what that might look like. As a region, we need to aspire to greater things, and opportunities often fall out of catastrophes, as we know. It's time to take stock of that and to go, right, that's the stuff we have to fix. And now we want to look out and see what our real vision is and what our priorities are for going forward.
So you talked a little bit about issues with water. So what are the main problems with your water infrastructure?
Oh, look, the water infrastructure is tricky. The pipeline is something like 30 or 40 kilometres long.
Wow.
And stretches from way out in the Wainaki Valley.
Yep.
And it's an old piece of infrastructure. So built many years ago, it was severely affected in the cyclone. You may have seen on the news or on the video that we didn't have water in town that was severely restricted. The pipeline network spans 21 bridges, and the cyclone destroyed 9 of those. So you can imagine it took a wee bit of time to get that back up and running. So we really need to address that and figure out what that looks like. We have issues around irrigation. Our wastewater infrastructure is not great. We have to sometimes in big storms we release that into the river, into the sea, which is not something that is
untreated or treated.
Look, I'm not an expert in that regard, but what I would say, anything is not really acceptable any longer.
Yeah, that's right.
And we need to address that in a way that provides affordable solutions. I mean, Gisborne, Tairāwhiti is a big geographical region, lots of problems in terms of geography and geology, low ratepayer base, and a difficult, and low ability to pay. So we can't just hike the rates up to make these things work. We have to be really careful about what that looks like. And yes, we do acknowledge, there may be a need for some government support in some of these places. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was my next question. Is there's a lot of areas are facing double-digit rate rises, and I suspect Gisborne will be one of them. That it won't have a lot in the coffers in terms of reserves either.
I suspect that your assumption is right. I'm not in the machines of the council, but I suspect that the money have been spent that could be spent on cyclone recovery. I mean, the government has invested a fair bit of money into there, and I think about, and we just released another 5 or so million, 23 million into Gisborne District Council for silt and woody debris removal.
Yeah.
But we can't keep doing that.
No.
And we've also got a massive amount of money put aside for roading recovery, which is incredibly complex and is vast in its in its need. I think the figures are something like 71 sites on State Highway 2 between the Portakey and Gisborne,
wow.
65 between Tutira and Esk Valley, and 29 sites between Gisborne and Tutira on State Highway 2. So that just gives you a bit of a quantum of how many places. I used to be able to drive from my home in Gisborne to Napier in about 2.25 hours.
Yep.
It now takes me about 3.5.